Hey everybody, and welcome to a special video here on the Triple S League. This is actually going to be the first in a multi-part series of videos in which we sat down with some of the members of our community to discuss and react to the romances in Cyberpunk 2077. But the conversation went in a lot of very interesting directions, so we're going to be releasing multiple videos focusing on different aspects of this topic, including how the romance quests relate to the endings. Were there more romance quests planned? Should there have been more? And of the 4 we got, why are 2 of them tied to characters that are deeply involved with the story, and the other 2 essentially side quests? We're going to be discussing these questions and a lot more, but in this first video, I discussed general reactions to the romance quests in Cyberpunk 2077 with 2 wonderful ladies from our community, plus our own Triple S League team member, MoonTAGG. We also have a discussion about what makes for a good romance quest in general, and did CDPR achieve success in that? Today we're going to be talking about the romance quests in Cyberpunk 2077. There was a lot of hype about all of this before the game released. People were very curious about the romances. Anytime we interviewed anybody from CD Projekt Red, there were questions about romances for them. Now the game's out, we know who the romanceable characters are, and we know little bits about how deep each of those quests go, and more details about that. And so we wanted to get some opinions and reactions about how CD Projekt Red did with the romance quests in the game. I'm here with MoonTAGG, as usual,
yes, indeed,
our own MoonTAGG.
Hello.
And we have a couple of ladies from our community, Timebean and Lady Reaver. Welcome. How are you both doing?
I'm doing fine.
Ready to chat about love.
Ready to go into a rant.
Oh boy.
A romance rant.
Don't say it.
You both are big gamers, and you're very active members of our Triple S Legion community. For the sake of the audience, let's just establish whose voice is whose here.
Lady Reaver is the one that sounds really sweet.
Aw.
And the one
And
that
the cool lady is really Bean, this time being.
Well, we're glad to have you with us, and I'm looking forward to your opinions on this, because not only are both of you avid gamers, you're avid readers. You have had many a conversation about romance quests in this game and in general on our Discord server, so we kind of handpicked you for this.
And we're also fan fiction writers, Ash.
Yes.
I'm saying it's good fan fiction, but we love it enough to attempt to do it ourselves.
Exactly.
Shall I post some links below
God, no. Not
to your writings?
I'm only proud of one, and I made 4 of them.
If you like ultra cheese, just Google it. It'll be fine, but yeah.
When you're writing fan fiction, that's what you're expecting anyway. So, or when you're going to read fan fiction, in my experience, you gotta expect some cheese.
It's true. Lots of cheese.
Mm-hmm. Makes everything delicious.
Everybody likes cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that all being the case, I thought we'd start off talking in general about what you like in a romance quest in a game, what makes for a good romance quest, what some of your favorites have been, and then we will sort of launch into a discussion about how well CD Projekt did with the romance quests in this game. And I think there were very high expectations. I mean, coming off of The Witcher 3, there were high expectations for the writing in Cyberpunk 2077, and there's varied opinions about, how good the story and the writing actually is. Let's talk in general about what makes for a good romance quest, what you appreciate about a good romance quest, maybe what makes for a bad one, and then if you want to give any examples of what some of your favorites have been in your gaming career, go ahead. So why don't we start with Timebean?
Yeah, so I think that, I don't know, a romance quest is like any quest, right? The story needs to unfold. You can't just have an exposition dump, right? You can't have the person immediately telling you their hopes and dreams, right? And so for me, some of the best romances in this game and in any game is when it slowly unfolds, when you have to crack open the shell, right? When you have to kind of dig a little deeper, you have to do things for them, you have to earn their trust, you have to ask questions, you have to give sort of the right responses, And I really like a romance that starts off a little antagonistic. I think it's hot, but they don't know me, especially in a game like this where you're a mercenary or an edge runner. You want them to be a little standoffish with you and make you work for it a little bit. So yeah, that's what I look for. And interesting characters, people that have well-defined qualities. You don't want them to be cardboard. You don't want them to be boring. You want something interesting about them, something unique. Voice actors help a lot with that. And I think there was some good voice acting in this game.
All right, Lady Reaver, what do you think?
what I like about romances, especially in games, what I would consider like a good romance is basically the reactivity between both characters. Like, not only do you want to engage with the love interest, but also, like, does the love interest engage with your character? Like, exactly how much interest does the love interest show for the main character? Like, if they get hurt, do they show any concern at all? If they're cursed with some life-threatening disease, like, do they even care about that?
Would you call that like a level of detail?
I would.
Or added realism, something like that?
Definitely.
Yeah, it can't be a one-way street. Love ain't a one-way street. I believe that's a country song or something like that.
Like an example, the only romance I could really say that had such a fundamental reaction for me was the Fenris romance in DA2. And yeah, the romance mostly focused on him, but there were huge plot points that happened to the main character Hawk that Fenris reacted to and gave his support or gave his sympathy for, and I really appreciated that. It was like really small details, but I appreciated that they put those details into the game for it.
Yeah, I have to say I agree with that because, like, I remember even when I was watching Cy play through on Baldur's Gate there, and when his character would take an action, he would get reactions from, like, other members in the group who were, like, potential romanceable characters, right? And, like, that just kind of added to the whole, like, realism of, like, each character.
I know what you mean. The same thing happened in, was it Dragon Age Inquisition, or someone made a post about Dragon Age Inquisition where they were like romancing Dorian. I romanced him too, but this was a really nice little bit that they experienced. Their Inquisitor gets knocked down during battle, and right as their Inquisitor gets knocked out, Dorian goes, no! And then starts, attacking the enemies and stuff. And they're like, that was like the best moment for them. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
That is pretty great.
Yeah, I kind of, to me, the best romance ever is Dragon Age Origins. Alistair, sort of bumbling, sweet guy, he's good, he's funny, he likes to laugh, he's underconfident. You can help him get his confidence and stuff. But you could set tactics in that game. And I always, you could set tactics for each of the characters in your party. And I would always set him to shield bash anybody that came near me. Like if a big ogre or something would come near me, he would go and shield bash him. So I guess that's not really the writing that contributed to that, but I tried to make it work.
I like that game mechanic.
And then you're like, oh, sweet, he's so protective.
Yeah, well, I mean, and if you play your cards right or not right in that game, he could potentially die for you in the end too, which is very traumatic. That happened to me the first time I played it because I was like, I'm not gonna let some witchy woman sleep with my guy to save him from dying for me, or to save either of us from dying. I was like, no, we'll be able to win this because I had no idea. I was very naive, and he ended up dying at the end for me, and I was like, no. It was very upsetting.
Now I'm glad I made him bang more again.
I know, right? Well, I did in subsequent playthroughs. But I mean, at the same time, there's also really, BioWare, has done really bad romances too. They're kind of known for their romances, right? They know how to write a romance. They're fantastic. Thousands and thousands of pages of fan fiction about Dragon Age romances in particular are on the internet, because people love it so much. So they're kind of the masters at that, but they failed at that before too, like Mass Effect Andromeda. I can't remember his name because he just wasn't interesting enough, but the guy who worked on your ship, I think he was the engineer on the ship, and I think he was the male gay love interest. He was an exposition dumper. He would just dump everything about his personality on you instead of letting you uncover it. And I was like, oh my God, what lazy writing.
I think his name was Gilbert.
That was it, Gil. It was Gil. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, I play gay male characters, and to be honest, I wasn't really interested in Gil. The only person I was interested was, oh God, I forgot his name now. Reyes? Is that his name?
Seriously, the fact that we can't remember any of their names just goes, it says everything about that game.
Yeah.
There was a lot to forget about Mass Effect Andromeda, but anyway.
Therapy helps. Yeah. But in regards to Cyberpunk, though, I have to say, I've posted sort of extensively about my issues with the story and things like that. But I do think that some of their romance characters were very well written and are really fun. And I think more than anything else, for me personally, add to the replayability of the game. Right? There's not a lot of choice and consequence in this game, but getting to go through and experience the different romances, at least for a couple of characters, I think makes it worth it to at least replay once.
Okay, interesting. You want to go back through it and experience the different relationships.
It's Panam and that ass. I mean, I gotta go back. I gotta go back to it.
The way they introduce that character, you can tell. Like, talk about fan service.
Oh yeah,
that was one of my favorite parts.
She's bent over under the hood of a car, and it's like, okay then.
Oh yeah.
And then enter the slapping asses meme.
Oh, love it.
I don't know if that was original to our Discord server, but man, there were so many of those. There's the one pose in the photo mode where V's got his hand up, and it's supposed to be more of a like, nope, not interested kind of a pose. But it looks like he's about to swing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's great though. You romanced her, Ash, right?
I did.
She is fiery. There's so much about that character to like. And I was a woman, so I couldn't romance her. But just as a pal, just as a friend, somebody I respected, I really like that character.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we are going to be getting into significant spoilers about Cyberpunk 2077, especially the romance quests, but some other things might come up as we discuss the story and stuff. So, for those of you out there listening, if you're still trying to avoid spoilers, this might not be the best discussion to listen to, because we're basically not going to, censor anything. We're going to assume that you're okay with hearing all about what we have to say about all of these characters and all of these romances. But yes, I did end up romancing Panam. I wasn't sure at first if I was going to. And you know what? I think that speaks to the quality of the writing of that character. That at first I was like, I don't know if I like this chick. And then it was like, yes, I think I do like this chick. And then it's like, oh, I really like her.
She grows on you big time.
Yes.
I was the exact same way.
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay, the firecracker, blah, blah, blah. I've seen this character a million times. And something about her, the writing, the way she looks, the way she responds to you, just what she cares about, it draws you in. It totally draws you in. Very well written.
One of the interesting aspects of this, too, is that even if you are not the type of character that can romance a particular character, you can still build that friendship with them. And it seems to progress very similarly to the actual romance.
Yes.
Hearing the descriptions about the romance with River, as a male character, it was more of just kind of building a friendship, and it actually felt a little awkward to me. And I don't know if that was just my personality or what, but it seemed like, oh, I've done a couple of jobs with this guy. Suddenly he's inviting me over to meet his family and this and this. Now, playing the VR game with the kids, that was adorable. That was freaking adorable.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I let them win because I'm not a monster. But when you go up to the water tower for some beers after, I actually there's an option to try to kiss him, even as a male character.
Yeah, there was an option for me to rub Panam's feet, and I was like, "What's happening? Why is this happening?"
Did you do it, Ash? Did you take the opportunity?
No, I was curious to just see what would happen, but I opted against it, just for the sake of authenticity and role-playing, I guess.
Apparently, I'm not sure if you already know, but apparently he rejects you if you try to go in for a kiss.
Yes, I'd read that afterward, but I was surprised. I was like, is that a mistake? So anyway, that really clued me into the fact that these quests progress very similar, even if you're not trying to romance the character, if you're just building that friendship. And so I appreciated that about the whole Judy quest line.
I love Judy so much. Oh, I can't wait to talk about Judy. I feel like
that underwater.
Oh, it's beautiful. The music. And people are giving her a hard time online, right? The guys are like, oh, she just wants you to do stuff for her. And I'm like, no, she's amazing. You just don't know. You don't know.
Yeah,
honestly, I did get red flags with her first, but now after getting an accidental ending where I saw this video message she sent, and I was like, oh no, you poor thing. I'm coming back to you.
She's just, she has genuine sadness, and
she's got such hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
she's a damaged character.
Yeah.
She's a troubled character.
But wonderfully caring about the people in her lives, right? In her life, she cares about the other Moxas. She cares about the people that work the clouds. She tries to do something to help them, but she approaches it with so much hopelessness and sort of like this resigned, like, that the city has swallowed her up. And if you take the ending, the afterlife ending, it's heartbreaking what happens with her in the afterlife ending. We can get there maybe after, but yeah, just so you know, if you do that ending and you're romancing Judy, it's a little heartbreaking what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm curious. I was just gonna say that I really appreciate that how vulnerable she is with V. Like, it made me, I mean, she was first standoffish, and that made me kind of like, just work with me here. But then eventually she starts letting her guard down, and she's just so open, and I'm like, I like you so much. She's a friend.
And when she opens up, like, she does. She's real snippy with you. She cusses you a few times. Like, she doesn't trust you. She doesn't like you. And once she does open up, it is in such a beautiful and unique way. The whole diving thing and sharing this sort of double virtue thing. I mean, it's really cool. Like, you feel like that the sort of the journey you've went through with her had a really nice payoff, aside from the sex scene, right? Which,
even without the romance, that was one of the most fulfilling quests in a game, like a friendship quest. Like, at first I thought, oh, here we go, it's going to be just a big exposition dump, because that's what I'm used to when you're doing romance quests or just other friendship quests in games. That's what I'm used to, just a whole bunch of exposition. No, the diving scene where you go to her where she used to live and are swimming around, and you can scan stuff, she's telling you about everything. It was one of the most amazingly designed things I've ever experienced in a video game.
Very creative.
Yeah. And it also, I just love the whole theme with her too. I know I've said this a few times, maybe in the chat rooms on TSL, but the fire and water, right? Panam is fire. She's, a firecracker. She's getting stuff done. She doesn't have time. She's going to push through. And she has her vulnerabilities too. They're just expressed in a different way. But, with the whole water theme, I mean, Judy has the octopus painted on her wall, and she dives, and she's very deep and quiet. In her sad moment, she takes you to the roof, and it's like the quiet escape from the city. They're like they're very opposite characters, but both fully fleshed out. I think they did a really good job with the female romance options.
Now we're getting into one of the interesting aspects of this, because and we've talked about this briefly prior, in chat rooms on the server and stuff. So let's talk about the male characters for a second here. And did they do as good a job of fleshing out those quests and those characters, in your opinion?
You need a facepalm sound effect for this. Is there one that exists? No.
Just lean close to your microphone and just whack yourself. No, okay.
There we go. That's sort of my take. But
it sounded like it hurt. Ow.
Moon romanced River. I romanced River too, but I ended up romancing Judy as well, so I could focus on that. But Moon romanced River, and Reaver romanced Kerry, and I think they have strong opinions. I want to hear.
Well, I can describe River in a few words. A goody with a gun. Yeah. He has no bite. Like, when we were discussing Panam and Judy's, like, firecracker, angsty, icy, like, they didn't like us at first kind of thing. Whereas, like, you did kind of get that when you initially meet River, but, like, the second he calls you, he's like, yes, so I'm calling you for stuff because, like, I need your help with things. And we're like, oh, okay, we're just going along with this. All right. And, like, it's been very flat. And
did you get a flirt prompt with him? A single flirt prompt before his sister just basically, convinced you to like him?
No, basically the way to romance him is to agree with everything he says. Or, like, it doesn't matter, because, like, I did tell him no. I did try to tell him no before, but... when I was reading some of the reviewers online, they were saying that even if you say no at this point, it doesn't matter. And I was just like, really? Because it doesn't affect anything.
I mean, maybe the idea with maybe the writers thought this is how a man, if a man is interested in a woman, if he's interested in your female character V, he's going to pursue you whether he likes you or not. I mean, is that what they think? Is that right? I'm like, I didn't understand why this guy liked me. What did I do? I just did a mission with him. It was more like a buddy cop thing. Like, there was nothing that I didn't try to elicit anything with him. I didn't flirt with him. It was really weird.
It was the same thing with Kerry. Like, there was no natural buildup of him showing any interest in V. Like, we just did. He hired me to do stuff. He hired me to do gigs for him, but other than that, like, there was. He showed no interest in V, like, at all. And it's like, why do you even like V? Like, he didn't really do anything special.
Kerry's a douche.
Yeah, he sounds like a douchebag Reaver from what
I honestly hated that series of quests, personally. I was like, you idiot, moron, dumbass,
that was
douche.
my
I'm like,
reaction.
when you go to stop those K-pop girls who one of their songs is on the radio all the time in the game, but he's like, oh, they want to do a cover of my song and this is horrible. And so he wants to storm in there with a gun and make them stop. I'm like, and there's no option to try to talk him down. I hated that quest. I was like, oh God, why am I doing this?
So screwed up because Judy's trying to save her friends and avenge someone who cared about her. Panam's trying to save her family. Even River's trying to be not such a douchebag uncle. What is, like, how could you possibly care about what Kerry wants if that's what he wants?
And it has kind of a funny resolution in that it turns out all of these girls actually kind of worship him. And then the ending of that quest is kind of funny. But anyway, please go ahead with the rest of your thoughts on that.
Basically, I had a very negative reaction when I first went through the whole Kerry quest because I felt uncomfortable with the whole thing. Okay, so first of all, I thought it was okay. We blew up a van. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, no one got hurt, so it was fine. And then it escalated to us sneaking backstage and for Kerry to pull a gun on them and start waving around. I didn't think he was not gonna hurt those girls. I know that because he's too much of a softie. He wasn't going to actually hurt them. But the fact that he was trying to intimidate them like that, like, made me go, why are you doing this? Why did you decide to do this? And I sat my ass down and watched everything unfold because there was no way I was going to actually get involved in this. And plus I tried to, like, be reasonable. I wasn't going to antagonize those poor girls because Kerry wanted to. But yeah, I didn't like that at first, but I went over the mission a second time and a third time, and I came to understand that, like, Kerry was very passionate about his art. Like, yeah, Johnny was like, yeah, he was passionate about his art, but that's not what he's really talking about. And I'm like, looking at him, it seems that's what he cares about is, like, his music. So I can understand him doing something stupid like this.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a character whose mission is fun and that it's a little lighter and a little this or a little that. But you also have to like him too. Like, did you ever get to a point where you liked him? Like that you've bought that your character V would actually like this guy?
There was one time I liked him. Was during. Oh, what was the mission name? It was during with the Samurai Reunion gig. Is when I liked Kerry. It's when you first meet him, and when you meet him, it's like a really cool introduction. He like you break into his house to try and convince him to get Samurai back together, and he finds you and waves a gun in your face. And I thought that was like a really interesting first meeting.
And he recognizes that you are Silverhand, because isn't Johnny possessing you at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, he recognizes by the way that you're playing the guitar that you're Silverhand, which I'm having a little trouble buying that, but I mean, it's kind of a cool idea at the same time. Apparently,
Johnny has a unique way of playing. And I actually found out that he's self-taught, so he actually does have a unique way of playing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that gets fleshed out in one of the endings too, yeah.
But, I went back and redid the missions, and I really did enjoy the gig. Oh, I loved it. The Samurai Reunion was awesome. I loved it, because not only do you get to meet the other members of Johnny's old band, but, I don't know, like, Kerry during the whole time is very chill, and when he's on stage, like, I really loved his energy, like how he kind of like burst with all this passion for playing music, and I loved it. But the problem with his romance is that it's not very well written, and from what I can understand, maybe some other romances aren't very well paced either.
What is that line that he asked you? Because when you told me, I cracked up. I thought it was like it sounded like something in my worst fan fiction.
Oh, he was like, okay, during the balcony scene, he's like, "Can you keep the shadows away?" And then V's like, "I can even save you from yourself." And then they kiss, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
What?
that was the first flirt option I ever got. That was the first flirt option I ever got with Kerry. And it was so dramatic, and that was their first kiss. And I was like, they weren't even, the build up to this wasn't even there. It wasn't there.
That is major cheese. That is major cheese.
I feel like there's a bunch of missed opportunities for dark joke flirting.
Yeah, or just something.
I have a couple of thoughts about that. One is, when you describe it like that, it almost feels like the romance was tacked on at the end. Like, you have to have...
Started. Don't even the romance.
I wonder, was it?
It also doesn't help that you meet Kerry in the third act.
Yeah.
At least Panam had an overarching storyline throughout the
So
whole
did Judy.
story.
Yeah, Judy you meet early on.
Yeah,
too.
you get
Yeah.
Judy and Panam are integral parts of the stories. You will interact with them. You don't need to interact with River, and you don't need to interact with Kerry.
Hey, that's actually a good
Yeah,
point.
they came up as side quests.
Yeah.
They're side quests. They're tacked on, totally.
All right, that wraps up part 1 of our series on reacting to the romance quests in Cyberpunk 2077. In the next part, we're going to start off talking about one of the biggest missed opportunities, at least in the opinion of the ladies we were talking to here. A missed opportunity for what could have been a really engaging romance, and a character that our girls here just can't stop gushing over. So definitely come back for that. Like and subscribe. We're also going to talk about that awkward as hell first-person video game sex, and count how many times Lady Reaver says the word snoo snoo. Until then, this is Ash for the Triple S League. Leave your comments below, and I will talk to you again very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell, and then check out some of these other videos. Find the link to our Discord server and other important stuff in the description below.